Welcome, everyone. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Dr. Yuri Ostrovsky, the founder of Dira, Decentralized Health Record Access.
How are you?
And also joining us today is William Crawford, Strategic Partnership Manager for SolveCare.
Hello, good to see you both.
Let's get started with you, William. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and briefly explain SolveCare?
Sure. I am the Strategic Partnership Manager at SolveCare, also in business development. My background is probably 20 plus years as in Fortune 500 medical sales and sales executive positions. And for about the past 2 years, I've been with SolveCare because for me, it was the perfect mix of what I was interested in, which was blockchain, and what I'm used to, which was healthcare. And SolveCare had it all going on. So that's how I found myself here. In regards to SolveCare is we're a leading global healthcare technology company, and we're leveraging blockchain to improve healthcare. And we offer the Care Platform. The Care Platform is a decentralized digital health platform for creating patient-centric care networks. We aim to redefine healthcare coordination, improve access to care, streamline patients, and also to reduce fraud in healthcare as well. And we're partnering with Dira and Dr. Ostrovsky, and we're looking to revolutionize healthcare record access.
Perfect. And joining us today is Dr. Yuri Ostrovsky. He is the founder of Dira. He is a neuroscientist turned technologist. And why don't you go ahead and explain a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here. And I'm excited to work with SolveCare. So I started off my career in academia, working in neuroscience. Eventually, that got me into some projects in global health. We created some of the first global health digital tools, mobile digital tools at that time. And that brought me into the field of digital healthcare in general. Since then, I've worked with a number of academic medical centers, enterprise healthcare organizations, and that's all culminated to bring us here today to talk about the Dira and what we can do together.
That's fantastic. Now, Yuri, can you tell us about Dira and their objectives?
Absolutely. So Dira, and again, that stands for Decentralized Health Record Access. It's a not-for-profit organization. And the goal of Dira is to share patients' health data among researchers, health applications, providers, anybody that can benefit from using patient health data. But we want to do it with the patient first. So the patient should always be in the driver's seat. We believe that the patient owns their data. The patient should have control over where their data goes and how long that entity has that data. So the purpose of Dira is to help create the infrastructure to enable that kind of data sharing.
Your goals definitely align with ours. So Yuri, could you tell us a little bit more about how SolveCare and Dira are going to revolutionize health record access?
Definitely. So one of the issues in everything that I've described just previously is that there is a lot to manage. You need to securely and scalably manage this web of permissions where the patient says that their data can be shared with this entity, with that application, with that healthcare provider. That's a combinatorial explosion, and that really needs to be managed in a secure way, in a way that scales very seamlessly and intuitively, so that the patient can actually manage those permissions in a way that it doesn't become overwhelming. To centralize that management in a way that's still decentralized, given the SolveCare platform, is really the crux of what we want to accomplish here. So the SolveCare platform gives us a way to implement this kind of sharing, and the SolveCare wallet gives us an interface for the patients to actually perform this data management. So it puts everything into one place, and it does it in a secure way that's scalable.
That's incredibly innovative. I love that. So William, how did you get to meet Dr. Yuri, and how did you know that his work would fit with SolveCare and our platform?
Well, it's interesting because I approached him originally. I found him on LinkedIn, and as the business development manager, it's my job to find leaders and people who are interested in digital health. And so, number one, he had it in his title, I think, and his deep experience in that, so that he met that filter. He was also at a prestigious institution. And so we connected, I think it might have been about a 20-minute talk, just kind of feeling out what he's interested in, what we're doing at Solve Care. And I don't think anything came of it at the time. What I really got was a lot of great advice from him at the time. And I hope I get it right. I don't remember if I reached out to him to follow up or if he did the opposite, but we then had a brainstorming session. And I think that's where Dira was born. Yuri said, I've got an idea. This is something that a group that I know of would be interested in. And that's where it was born, and it's grown from there.
That is definitely a perfect match for the CARE platform. So let's jump back to you, Yuri. What is the first joint project for this partnership?
Yeah, so the first project in our partnership focuses on clinical trials. So we're calling it the Dira Clinical Trial Network, or CTN. The goal of this project is to collate the data across institutions so they can be shared within the context of a clinical research study. So one of the problems in a lot of clinical research is this access to data. It can be very cumbersome to get the data even from the institution where that researcher sits. That's one problem. But then getting it from other institutions can be incredibly difficult, and it's usually a manual process. With this system, we can actually bring together the data from multiple institutions, put it in one place, and we can incorporate device data or other applications and put it all in one place. Meanwhile, patients have the ability to enroll in those clinical trials or unenroll as they wish. So again, the patients are always in the driver's seat.
That sounds very promising. As we know, the clinical trial industry is it's frustrating for providers, and it's, quite frightening for some of the people signing up for it. So it's great to see the work that you're doing. So on that, what principles drive the Dira CTN network?
Yeah, so fundamentally, privacy and security are absolutely paramount. We want to make sure that data does not get into the wrong hands, that the patients have control over it. That really is number one, and it's the point that we keep nailing because it's so important. And then the next point is scalability and efficiency. You can make everything private and secure, but then it's not actually usable. We want to make sure that all these new applications, all these new studies, all these new healthcare initiatives have a way to get access to data in a way that isn't cumbersome. It really needs to grow organically and quickly. And that's the main goal of Dira, as long as we do it, again, with privacy and security in mind.
Absolutely. Security and privacy is definitely paramount. So can you tell us about your platform, how it benefits each party, the providers, the researchers, and healthcare, and the patients?
Absolutely, happy to. So today, healthcare is complex. You have patients being seen in multiple organizations, some of which may or may not talk to each other. You have digital health apps on patients' phones. You have devices that patients have at home, like connected scales, blood pressure monitors. You have all these things that could benefit from talking to each other, but often they don't, because there isn't really a very good mechanism for that to happen today. So what you end up with is few synergies among those applications. And you also have your data kind of dangerously spread out. The main thing to address that today is you make the data kind of separated so that you can't connect the dots, and that's the idea behind sort of security and privacy. But then you can't get the synergies from having that data together. So that's not really the best state of affairs. So with this solution, patients can actually bring all their data together, but they have control over their data. They can enable these synergies as needed and as they wish. You have easier on and off boarding to new services and new solutions, whereas today that might require quite a bit of effort and probably a lot of manual effort. You can put all that data together into one view, and ultimately the patient and the system really gets better absence services, and better care. For researchers, they get faster access to data that they might need to conduct their research. They can onboard their participants more quickly, and they can access this growing pool of patients that might be pre-selected based on their criteria, based on their actual clinical criteria from their healthcare institutions. And they might even come with some consent to say, I want to participate in clinical trials. So again, recruiters within the research world can gain access to a ready pool of applicants where they already have some of the information available, and they can screen them that way. And finally, healthcare providers, they now have a mechanism for bringing in all sorts of new services into their care, things that otherwise just would have been too cumbersome. So in the end, we have a system that for patients, researchers, and healthcare providers provides one way to bring everything to the fore. And with those kinds of synergies, we can create applications that just would have been too difficult to implement before.
That is incredible. I can't wait to see the results of this network. So let's jump back to William for one last question before we close this out. Could you tell us about how this network and partnership benefits SolveCare and why everyone should be excited as we are?
While this is a momentous occasion for the research world in general, it also is for SolveCare. Because at the end of the day, what this means is that there are going to be more users on our platform. And us seeing ourselves as the network of networks. You also might have noticed that Yuri mentioned about having potential patients who are interested in trials being able to join those trials. Well, that's going to sound very familiar because that's care trials is what we have. And that's the beauty of this is we will have networks of networks that are so easily plugged into each other, or they can be nested inside of each other. There's not that silo border between the silos anymore. It's just one big network. In the end, as I was saying, it's all about the platform being used. And when the platform is used, that means there's real world utility for the Solve token and being used through those transactions. So, and lastly, it's also an opportunity to invite more partners to our platform to utilize the powerful network and to really meet and achieve that day where we have people that are doing things we never even imagined that could be done on this platform for healthcare.
It's music to my ears. Okay, so let's finish off with any closing thoughts. I'm incredibly grateful to chat. I think this is a wonderful chat, and I want to thank Yuri for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us today. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Yes, I have a few. I just want to, first of all, thank you, Mike, for this great interview. And I'm really excited to work with SolveCare. I'm really grateful to be able to work with such an organization that sees this vision and can implement it in a timely manner. It's really a pleasure, and I think we're off to create great things. So thank you.
Of course. All right, William, do you have any closing thoughts before we go?
Well, I just want to, from my heart, thank Yuri for partnering with SolveCare. I see, him and I have become friends through this partnership, and I see great things for DeHRA.org and SolveCare. I'm really excited and I'm happy. And thank you, Mike, for this interview as well.
Well, thank you both for joining us today. I know everyone listening will be excited to hear more about this partnership as it develops. And I hope to have another interview with you guys down the line when we're celebrating a very successful network on our platform. Thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day.